The ruined temple rose from the desert like the bones of a god, pillars half buried in sand, its roof shattered to reveal a sky bruised by twilight. Statues of forgotten deities stood in fractured silence, their faces eroded by time, their eyes blank with judgment. Once prayers had filled this place. Now, only the wind sang hymns through the hollow stones. At the center of the shattered altar stood Sir Arik of the Dawn, silver armor dulled by dust and battle. The sigil of the sun blazed across his chestplate, though cracks ran through it like veins of shadow. His sword, soul-bright, pulsed with a golden radiance, faint now, flickering like a dying star. Opposite him, stepping through the drifting ash, came Lady Calith, the Warden of the Abyss. Her armor was black as midnight oil, her eyes burning violet with magic. The air warped around her, heat and cold folding into one another. Her blade, night's hunger, drank the light itself, leaving a trail of darkness in its wake. They had once fought side by side, saviors of kingdoms, champions of gods. Now the gods were gone, and they were all that remained of a forgotten war. The broken oath. "You shouldn't have come," Arik said, voice low, tired. The wind tugged at the blue banner tied around his arm, a relic of a vanished order. "The world doesn't need this fight." Calith's laugh was soft, bitter. "The world? You mean the ruins you swore to protect? The world's been dead for centuries, Arik. You just can't let it go." Her boots crunched over the temple floor, shards of divine marble scattering beneath her steps. "The gods burned everything we knew. I'm just finishing their work." Arik's jaw tightened. "You sound like them. Better than sounding like their faithful dog." Their swords rose almost at the same instant, instinct older than memory. When the first clash came, it shattered the silence like thunder. Soulbright met night's hunger, light and shadow exploding outward, throwing dust and fire into the air. The dance of fire and shadow. The temple floor split beneath their feet as magic and steel intertwined. Each blow carried not just strength, but history, decades of shared battle, unspoken grief. Arik's strikes were measured, radiant arcs of light that burned through the gloom. Calith moved like smoke, parrying with deceptive grace, her blade curving like a serpent around his defenses. Sparks scattered like meteors. Statues crumbled. "You still fight like you're praying," she hissed, ducking under a swing that would have split stone. "Does it help you sleep, believing in ghosts?" "I fight," Arik grunted, slamming his shield forward, "because someone has to remember what they died for. Then die remembering." Her sword struck his chestplate. Darkness bloomed like ink, seeping into the cracks in his armor. Arik staggered, the light around him dimming. For a moment, the temple felt colder, emptier, like the world was holding its breath. But then he raised his sword again, and light burst from the wound, forcing the shadows back. "You can't win, Calith. Shadow alone cannot survive." Her eyes glimmered with something unreadable. "Neither can light." Third. The memory of gods their duel carried them across the temple, through crumbling archways and over shattered altars. Magic roared like storms, fire and darkness intertwining in a furious ballet. As their blades met again, a strange sound filled the air, a low hum, deep and mournful. The temple itself was awakening. Glyphs buried for centuries flared to life across the walls, golden runes whispering in the dead language of gods. Calith's expression faltered. "They're still here?" Arik shook his head. "No. Just their echo." The air shimmered, and for a moment they stood not in ruins but in glory. The temple whole again, filled with light. Priests sang. Bells rang. The two warriors stood side by side, younger, unscarred, before betrayal, before war. Arik blinked, and the vision was gone. "Only ash remained, I remember," Calith whispered. "How we swore to protect them. How they used us. How they left us to die. They're gone," Arik said softly. "But we're still here. We can still choose. I already have." Her magic surged, black flames spiraling around her, devouring the last remnants of divine light. The temple trembled, screaming in stone, "Fu!" The end and the beginning, Eric dropped to one knee, light bleeding from the cracks in his armor. Soulbright dimmed to a faint ember. Calith stood over him, her sword raised. The shadow that surrounded her pulsed like a living thing. "Say it," she demanded. "Say you were wrong. Say the gods deserve to die." He met her gaze, pain and sorrow in equal measure. "Maybe they did, but we didn't." Then, in a single motion, he plunged Soulbright into the ground. A surge of golden light erupted. Not an attack, but a plea. The magic raced through the temple, igniting the runes once more. Light and shadow collided in a final burst, neither overcoming the other. The explosion threw them apart, hurling them into the sand outside. When the dust cleared, the temple was silent. Its stones glowed faintly, half bathed in sunlight, half in shadow. Perfect balance. Calith stirred first. Her blade was gone. So was her armor. She looked toward Auric, lying nearby, barely breathing. She crawled to him, trembling. "Why, Auric?" He smiled faintly, eyes on the rising sun. "Because someone has to remember both." The light faded from his eyes. Calith sat in silence, wind whispering through the broken pillars. Then slowly she placed his sword across his chest. Soulbright. Still warm, still glowing softly, and when she rose, the light and darkness both followed her. Epilogue. Centuries later, travelers who cross the desert sometimes find the ruins of that temple. By day, it shines like gold. By night, it glows like starlit obsidian, and some say that when the wind is right, you can still hear two voices, one of light, one of shadow, still locked in a dance that never ends, keeping the balance between what was and what will be.